Can you see how this area looks a little bit greener? I think that that is a street light effect from the night light we put on the end of the blockhouse. It's either that or the heat is seeping out of the underground line going to the basement, and the ground temperature here is warmer as a result. So one of two things. So this is a sure sign that spring has sprung. Matter of fact, it's technically here by the calendar, but today's video is actually a cautionary tale. It's what happens when your impulsive thoughts win. I get on Facebook Marketplace and I see projects that need a little bit of work and I think, oh, but just a little bit of effort, that'd be really nice to have. And so that's exactly what happened here. I thought this project looked like it was something that I'd always wanted, and it is, but here we are. I got to work on it. So in this video, I'm going to show you what I bought, what it's going to take to get them up and running, and hopefully by the end of the video, we'll be using it because it's going to be pretty cool if I can get them to work. And hopefully I don't lose much money on the deal. All right, we'll be mowing grass before we know it.
Dig Drive DIY.
Well, Facebook Marketplace is terrific for a guy like me that likes to take on some projects that need a little DIY fixing. You can buy something on the cheap because it needs repaired or repainted or upgraded. So my dump truck was a perfect example of that. It was a marketplace find that I got pretty cheap, and I've been fixing it up for the last 5 years. My skid loader was a good example of that. It was a rental unit. It was green. I didn't like it, but I was able to fix it up, and now it looks great. You wouldn't know that it was a rental. I've been doing that for the last 30 years, buying cheap, fixing them up, and then you got something nice for hopefully less money than what you would have had if you'd have bought it in pristine condition. Facebook Marketplace is also terrible for a guy like me because I get on there and I look at all the opportunities and the things that I could buy and put a little elbow grease into and then have something nice as a result. I've got a golf cart sitting out here beside my barn that is a perfect example of that. I thought I was going to buy this, fix up another cart to have, and make a new version of what we already have. But as it turns out, it's not in the cards. I've got so many projects backed up, like the Bronco, for example, that I really want to work on, but I feel like before I can do any of that, I need to tackle some of these outstanding projects. So this video is a perfect example of a kind of a hit or miss type of purchase. I saw these Lesco fertilizer spreaders last fall for sale on Marketplace. They were for sale from someone I know too, so that gave me a little bit more confidence, and I was able to go look at them. He had a good buy. I was able to buy 3 of them that supposedly would run and 1 parts machine. So I brought them home and I put them in the barn at work actually. They've been in storage all winter long in the shop at work. Now with spring knocking on the door, it's time to get them out and see if I can make good on this purchase. So the thought process is I could get 1 of them up and running for good to keep, and then I could fix up 2 of the others, and I know I have 1 already spoken for, and then probably sell the 3rd one. And hopefully in the end, I really am not out any money, nothing other than just my time. So that's my goal. Whether or not I can make it happen is yet to be determined. So I've got everything drug into the shop here. I've kind of assessed everything and I'll go over it with you. At this point right now, I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed. Like, why did I do this to myself? It seemed like a good idea at the time. And now as I get it all out and look at it, think about the work involved, I'm right there at that project regret phase. So let's just take a little walk around and do some inventory. I'll tell you what the state of all of these are and what I've found so far in the boxes of parts that came with them. And I'll talk through it as I go through it. All right, we're gonna call this unit number 1. This is the one that started and drove itself up onto the trailer. It works. I think it could be just tuned up, fixed up a little bit. It's got a few things that need addressed, but I'm gonna try to clean this one up and like fix the switch, things of that nature, and make it work. All right, this is unit number 2. I believe they said this one did run, but it is missing a carburetor on the engine. Take a look at this carburetor. Now that's some serious corrosion there. This one and this one, unit number 1 and unit number 2, both have Honda engines on them. So I think those engines have been replaced and they are different than the other 2 and the parts that I have. So I think this one is actually about the best unit, but obviously it needs some carburetor attention. I don't even know if it'll run, so we'll see. Okay, unit number 3 looks to be complete, but it has a Subaru engine on it, and the air filter is obviously missing. but this one is like locked up. It won't pivot. So there's a chance that all three of these could run, and they require various amounts of work, but maybe we can get them going. Number 4 is kind of a lost cause and a parts only machine. It fell off of a trailer and went down the road, but it does have that Subaru engine on it, and maybe I could use some parts from that. You can see where where it got dragged down the road. And there was 3 boxes of parts that came with these machines. So here's obviously a hopper cover, drive cables, idler pulley assembly, recoil assemblies, air filter covers, gearboxes and spinners. And then there was a whole bunch of miscellaneous parts. Like some of this stuff, I don't even know what it is, but I kind of wanted to get a good inventory, or at least have in my mind and my eyes on what's here. So if I encounter it as I try to repair these, then I'll know, like, these are bushings and probably the main bolt that, you know, maybe we could use that to fix this one that doesn't pivot. So maybe I've got bushings and the bolts here. There's 2 different styles of carburetors here. So the one that needs a carburetor, perhaps one of these will work. I think it's this one. And then there's a bunch of these bearings. There was like $200 worth of these roller bearings. These I assume are engine mounts, more bearings, gaskets, fuel caps, screws and bolts and miscellaneous fasteners. A lot of this is stainless so that it doesn't rust up when spreading fertilizer. Okay, in order for an engine to run, any engine, a gasoline engine, it needs air, it needs fuel, it needs spark, and it needs compression. Compression is a little bit more complicated because there's valves involved and piston rings and everything else. In order to see if it's working, you can test for ignition by plugging the spark plug into the spark plug wire outside of the cylinder block. And if you ground this to something, you put it against something metal, and if the ignition is on, you could pull the ripcord and see a spark right here. When I pulled it the first time, it wasn't sparking, and so I had to switch off in this position, and I'm checking it like this. That's the on position. So it should have no spark, and then when I flip the switch, it should have spark. Confirmed. All right, so now we don't have to guess on the switch anymore. And this is the kind of stuff, small engine repair stuff, I learned in high school. I was fortunate, like we had talked about in a previous video, to have shop class, and we were forced to kind of take engines apart, rebuild them, learn the spark, compression, fuel situation. I owe all of that to high school and my dad. My dad helped me when I was real young taking stuff apart, so it's good to learn that stuff early. Let's turn the ignition on. Choke is this way. Let's just give her a whirl here. Whoa. Well, we got one running again. Wasn't too bad. This is a deflector that will come down and block the spreader spinner on one side, which is really nice if you want to work up against some concrete or a parking lot or something that you don't want fertilizer on. But this deflector is broken, and fortunately there's one over on the parts machine. So I'm going to try to switch out that, and then I'm going to clean up a lot of this rust. This is supposed to slide up and down with this lever right here. I'm moving it now. It doesn't move. Here's these other cables. Yeah, that doesn't work. Need to try to make this easier to work on. That's a little higher. That's a lot better. Okay, let's chock the wheels, get to work. Okay, I got all of the cables disconnected. If I take the 4 bolts out of the bottom of the box right here, I think I can take the whole box off of there and we can work on it upside down, which would be a lot easier to be able to see everything and really get it cleaned up. So I think it's all loose. Yeah. All right. Okay. This is supposed to block that hole. So this is your 3rd hole opening, and this does not slide. And then this is not turning at all either. So the whole apparatus is stuck. And this is the only way to work on this, is to get it out. Let's get it upside down and we'll tear it apart. Okay, this is the deflector that's supposed to slide up and down. and it's like completely stuck on the slides. So probably full of fertilizer inside these tubes and it won't slide. So I'm gonna have to, I'll take this. Yeah, they're just plugged clear up. And this donor deflector is really stuck on here. This is something I could probably 3D print if I knew how to use my 3D printer, or if I took it out of the box. This is probably something I could replicate, although I don't know how I copy this to replicate it. All right. There's my donor part. Try a little white lithium grease in there. All right, that slides up and down pretty nice now. I don't know how far to go on this cleaning because it's pretty messy and corroded, but it's going to get messy the first time you use it. So how overboard do you go trying to make it look new? So I've been thinking about it for a little while. I took the angle grinder and I cleaned up some of the rust. I took this outside. I used a wire brush on it to clean out the holes and used an air hose to clean out all the debris off the top. I've got this slide working really well now. Took everything apart, cleaned it really well, put grease on it, put it back together, and now it's functioning. And as much as I want to just tear into this and like completely restore it, repaint it, fix it all up, make it perfect, I think I'm just going to concentrate on functionality right now. I've never even used one of these things before, never. So I'm going to get it together, get it functioning. This one runs, but I don't know if it runs for 10 minutes and dies, or it'll work for 2 or 3 hours. I think it's worth testing it and putting it through its paces. And then when I'm down to just one of these left, and I own one, then I can pretty it up. But for right now, let's just work on getting them all working. And if I can get them working, then we'll think about the future. All right, after a few cable adjustments, I think I got everything working properly. The third hole opens and closes, and the slide goes up and down. So this one runs, everything supposedly works, it goes forwards and backwards. So I'm gonna move this one aside and try for another one of these. But need to go faster than that? You gotta be holding on. I'm gonna grease it up. Close. What do you think? He's so impressed. I'm gonna have a lawn care business before I know it. There we go. 1 down, 2 to go. It's time for lunch, so I'm gonna go eat, then we'll come back, see if we can make this one run. It has no carburetor, but we'll see. As mentioned, this one needs a carburetor. I got to looking at what was in the box here, and I noticed the old carburetor was in there, of course, and fortunately, one of the 3 carburetors that I found that I have parts for is a match, so that's good news. Now, what I did notice is there's no air filter housing. I looked through all the spare parts that I have, and unfortunately, there's no air filter box to attach this to. I got the lid and I got this old filter, but no box. So I think We might be able to rob some parts off this other one over here. Here's the bolts for the carburetor. So I think I'm just gonna get stuff cleaned up, bolted on there, attach the fuel line and the cables, and then go from there. Here's a shot of my nice little gasket set that I made. Right here's the vent outlet. It's supposed to go up here. Looks like it's supposed to go there and plug into the back of the housing, but this one exits right here. So it's going to go in there like that, and that tube is going to be down here somewhere. So I need to solve for that issue. There we go. So these bolts aren't long enough with this air filter cover. They need about the distance of that shoulder right there. So I wonder if I could drill that out. All right, I need a drill bit that is big enough for this. 0.375, 3/8. Perfect. It's pretty good, actually. Turn the gas on, let the carburetor fill up. Give her a shot. Oh my gosh. This one runs really good. All right, I'm gonna do the same treatment to this box as I did to the other one, get it all cleaned up and working proper. And then I think this is gonna be a good unit. So I'll spare you all that, and I'll rejoin you when I get this done and we tackle this last one. Well, I got everything all cleaned up. I took the entire hopper apart, cleaned everything underneath, the spinner, the slides, the deflector, got it all working like I did the other one. Now all the levers work. Everything is as it should. I found a broken wire and replaced that to see if that'll fix my engine stop switch issue. Turns out that didn't fix it, so I still got to hunt that down, but I'm ready for a test drive on this one. I'm actually glad I didn't go to the trouble to clean up that first one, because I'll probably just resell it as that is. So far, this one's the winner. I got a lot of tools to clean up and pick up. I'll get this one moved out and see if we can do one more. The trouble that I'm having is my hands keep cramping up when I'm running the wrenches and the ratchet. My hands get locked. Does anybody have any home remedies, any tips on how to cure the cramping of my hands? Because it's getting to the point where I almost can't work anymore tonight, but I'm going to try. All right, let's get things rearranged, see if we can go for the hat trick. I don't know, though. This one must have been sitting a while for it to be locked up and not be able to turn. What's my assessment of this one? Well, it won't pivot on the kingpin, which I think I can fix pretty handedly, pretty easily, so I'm not worried about that. I think I ought to make sure it runs first, and I've already done a little inspection, and the choke is locked up and the throttle is locked up. So this carburetor is in need of attention. Maybe there's a chance I could use that carburetor right there. Oh boy. All right, what are the chances that this one will run? choke on. We got gas in it. Oh, I think the recoil's bad in this one. Oh my gosh. I don't know why none of the on-off switches work. Must be where it's connected to the ignition. Well, it is a new day. I worked out here all day yesterday. Started out first thing in the morning about 7:30, 8 o'clock. I stopped for lunch and I stopped for supper and I kept on working basically all night. And I was able to get this third one, broke loose. I spent a lot of time working the pivot pin in the center, getting grease to it, using some penetrating, some PB Blaster. And then I had to lubricate the axle shaft down below because one of those was tight, had a wheel that was sliding, but forwards and backwards quite a few times, and I got that one going. So I think this one's operational. I did the full treatment to the tub just like the others, but this is probably not going to be the one that I keep. This one will be for sale. And then I've got, hopefully, I'm going to keep one obviously, and the other one's spoken for. So maybe we can deliver that yet today if we get them working. I'm hoping I can spread some fertilizer today. First of all, the last thing that's left to do is to check those kill switches. Ah, this one doesn't close. So this one is the switch. So far, everything that I've repaired on here has been with materials that I've had here at the shop. And this is a switch I have that's not right, but we could test it to see if it works. So that's closed, open. All right. This is the only switch I had, but I'll have to get the right switch, but let's see if it works. All right, well, the switches are working on 2 of them. All 3, I think, run and steer. It's time for a test drive. Go hit me! Woo! I think this is how you start a lawn care business. Like, we could start a business, but I don't think we're going to. We're having a spreader parade. Well, they all run and drive. I'm really tickled. You know, it was worth it. It was worth it. I took on this project. I was overwhelmed by it, but now it's really rewarding when you come up with this. So I'm going to test it out, make sure it spreads fertilizer, and then I'm going to deliver the one that's spoken for to the owner, and then I'll have one more for sale. All right, thanks, girls. Thank you. All right, I'm going to spread what I spread every spring, which is ammonium sulfate, 21% nitrogen. No phosphorus or potassium in this, but it does have sulfur, and that's what I want, the nitrogen and the sulfur. I went over and saw the guys at Ag Plus this morning, and they fixed me up with some of this. So last year I put on 300 pounds on my yard, which is just 6 bags. I got a couple extras because I don't know how this is going to spread. I'm just going to put 1 bag in it for now and make sure everything works so I don't have it all loaded up, but that looks pretty good. Let's go give her a whirl. So I have no idea how far it's going to spread it. We're just going to have to figure it out. So could you tell if it was hitting you out here? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. It didn't shut off. I love being able to turn it on and off real quick, even though I didn't get it shut off over there. Oh yeah, this is nice. I gotta go clean up my mess. All right, so if I don't get this cleaned up in a spot, it'll certainly burn it. So I'm gonna get the vacuum, do that. I screwed up the front already because I had the deflector down and didn't realize it. So I might have to go back over this to get a good coverage, but we're still learning. We'll figure it out. Still learning. Good thing I didn't do this on a client's yard, but I'm gonna get this filled back up and we'll try it again. Cue the epic spreading montage. All right, all strapped down, ready to go. Isn't that a really nice trailer? That is not mine. I'd love to have one though. It belongs to the person I'm delivering the fertilizer spreader to actually. So let's head on over there.
Each with your digital coupon.
For those of you that don't know, this is where I work. And the recipient of the first one is Mr. Greg. Hopefully he comes out here to take a look at this thing. It doesn't have to run very fast.
You don't have to.
You don't. No, it's got a governor.
F is for forward.
Forward, reverse.
I think it's going to work awesome. I've been wanting one of those for a long time.
Well, the nice thing, the thing I like the most is turning it on and off. Like I had to reach back to turn off the spreader on that pull type, and this one it's all right at your fingertips.
That's true too. I'm always reaching way back.
Yeah, you got to reach back to turn it off. So this is like, it was so, I spread my yard and it was so convenient.
I'm getting in the custom spreading
Yeah, I was gonna say, we could start a lawn business, but. All right, see ya. All right, well that turned out pretty good. As far as Facebook Marketplace finds goes, I'd say that one was a bargain. I got all three of those for a good price. The two I sell will cover the price of mine. So all I'm out is my time, basically 1.5 solid days of working on them. And I got something that I think I'm gonna use every spring. It's way better than what I was doing before. And I got some satisfaction out of getting it done. So now I just got to box up all the spare parts, get one listed for sale, and I'd say that's a Facebook win. I'm especially winning though by having you watching this video. I hope that you liked it. I know it was a little bit different. You never know what you're going to get watching this channel, but I thank you for being along for the ride. You know what? If I'm lucky, I'll see you in the next video, whatever that may be. See you next week. Take care. All right, make sure you know how to steer. Okay, left and right. Make sure you got it pointed where you want it. And try the forward and reverse. Forward, can you pull it? Pull it. Just one at a time. Okay. Okay, we're gonna zoom around the yard like the Blue Angels, but don't crash into each other. All right?
Okay.
Let me see if I can get them all running.